Recording in progress. So welcome everybody. I'm Meredith Olin and I am not going to do a lot of the talking tonight. I'm going to throw it over to Mary Kate and I'll, share my story here and there. But welcome. Adrenals, energy and stress. Huge topic.
Yep.
So Mary Kate, take it away.
Okay. I will try and we're basically trying to keep it within the hour. And so what I will say is there's so much to be said on adrenal energy and stress that when I was putting this together and starting to write it out, Meredith and I had a chat and like, I cannot talk about all this within an hour. So this is part one. And in a month's time, we're going to have part two. So I'm going to talk about laying the foundation for repair today. And then we're going to talk about building and improving energy. So we're going to do adrenals and stress today, and then follow it through with how to increase energy. So welcome to those who have just joined us. I'm getting a little ding ding. It's like an adrenal fatigue moment. It's like, I'll explain that in a minute. So yes, my name is Mary Kate. For those that don't know me, I am an exercise physiologist and nutritionist and natural therapist. So I studied natural therapies 20-something years ago now, and I've come full circle, and I'm really applying my natural therapies way more now than I have probably done in the earlier, like say the last 15 years. I've really come back to it in the last 4 years because it's always complemented what I do, but it's probably more needed now than ever. And then I came across Young Living. So it really has inspired me to go back and look at my texts. And so that's where I am coming from, a background in that. And I've also done a lot of private college and TAFE teaching. And so I love teaching anatomy and physiology. And this is what I'm going to do today. So why are we talking about adrenal fatigue is because I think a lot of people are not understanding that they have adrenal fatigue. And even when I was doing the research into this, it was interesting that there are some medical professionals that don't even believe that adrenal fatigue exists, which is pretty crazy. And so that's really important to recognize that it's a real thing. And why we're doing this, why Meredith and I are doing this is because we both really care about people and we want to help people. And so I'll go and talk about that a little bit more. So let's get further into it and understand what adrenal fatigue is. Ultimately, it's the optimal function of your adrenal glands is essential for a healthy stress response. So our adrenals are important for the stress response. So even the fact that, you all knew that at 8 o'clock tonight you had to be online. And it's like, so earlier tonight you would be like, I have to remember to be online tonight. And that is just a little bit of a stress response that your body copes with. And we're going to talk about what happens if you're not coping with that. Are we able to turn that ding down or mute it or something? I don't know. Doesn't matter, but just in the re-recordings, doesn't matter. So children are also showing signs of adrenal fatigue these days, and that's because there's way more stimulus in the world than there was even 10 years ago. And anyone that is born before the year 2000 never owned a phone until they were an adult. And I think I've got the years right. And so everyone is bombarded with all sorts of technology, which is a stimulus, and I'll explain what the problem with that is. So we're discussing adrenal fatigue and stress tonight. Those who missed the introduction, I'm not going to be covering energy and energy production because that will take a whole hour in itself. But what I'm really going to focus on is what we know as cortisol. And like I mentioned, this hour will try and jam pack a lot in, but if you do want a wellness consultation, I'm offering a special that I will talk about later on. So What are the symptoms of adrenal fatigue? Well, there's many, and there's reason for that. So I'm going to go through these because they're really important to recognize. You might just have unexplained weight loss or weight gain. You might have body aches. You might have muscle pain, fatigue, low blood pressure, salt and sugar cravings, lightheaded or shaky after skipping a meal, dizziness upon standing, feeling tired and wired, sleep disturbances. So you're not actually getting a proper deep sleep. You're waking up always feeling like you're just never catching up with the sleep. Low libido, infertility, thyroid imbalances, hair loss is a big indicator, blurred vision, severe allergies. So I've put both slides there because they're a little bit sort of different, or they're summarized on this side. So the key ones are digestive problems, something to do with the brain and something to do with weight gain and weight loss.
Mary Kate, can I just ask, with all of these, if people are looking at these, it's not all of them, right? People can just have one or two.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you talk on that?
You can, so just because you might you might have infertility and it might not be adrenal fatigue. When you have more and more and more of all of these symptoms, then it's highly likely you have adrenal fatigue. But as you'll see as I go on, you realize like how interconnected everything is, that infertility is probably caused because you had adrenal fatigue. And it could have been that you had adrenal fatigue for 2 years, a year ago, but that's causing infertility now. You could just have low blood pressure. That's not going to be an indicator of adrenal fatigue. But when you start to see a pattern of all of these, then you're highly likely to have it. And then probably more so that people will understand is what I'm going to say here is that adrenal fatigue is often, but what does adrenal fatigue sound like? It sounds like a person saying, I'm tired, I am overwhelmed, I'm stressed, and I need a coffee. If you're always saying that, like if you're waking up and saying, I need a coffee, I need a coffee, I need a coffee, you probably have adrenal fatigue. And so I put this here, I'll go and we'll reiterate this a little bit later. But adrenal fatigue really shows up also with fluctuations in mood. So it's like, and don't worry, by the way, this is all going to be available to you. This is on my website, and
Mary Kate, I'm sorry. Can we just check your mic? It's just a bit in my end. I've just checked in the chat box. The sound isn't super clear at the moment. I can. It's kind of sounds like it's a bit crackly.
Oh, okay.
Not sure. That's better.
I will just not touch my computer.
That's better.
Okay.
Okay. And just on that, I've just got to say, I love this because I think for me, and I don't know about the people watching, but I was always craving salty foods for years and years and years. And I just thought that was just me. And I've noticed this in my son, and I know when he craves salt that he's actually his adrenals need support. And I've just gone back supply teaching, relief teaching. And I was literally in the staff room today and another teacher came in and he was making himself, I've got a coffee machine in there. And someone said, oh, is this your first coffee? He said, I'm doing so well. It's my first coffee of the day. And that was at 10 a.m. But he was congratulating himself because he had waited that long. And there are so many teachers, and I know a lot of you out there will probably resonate with this, that are having 3, 4, 5 coffees a day to get through there. So I hear on the caffeine thing, and I was sitting there going, he needs to be on tonight's webinar.
Yeah, that's right. Let me know if it crackles again. I don't know what else I can do.
That is slightly better.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna see if I have headphones, but I don't have them here.
That's it. Keep on going.
Okay, so I will talk about this a little bit later on, but yes, like Meredith just touched on, adrenal fatigue is a lack of minerals and vitamin C, and I've sort of given away part of my presentation, so remember that later on. But you will crave starchy food, and you'll understand why that is a problem as we go on. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about anatomy and why it's important to understand this. So the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. So the kidneys are also interconnected with the liver. And it's really important to understand that we can't talk about adrenal glands and adrenal fatigue and not understand the whole picture. There's always this feedback loop between the endocrine system. And that is always going on. So it's really important we're going to talk about solutions for adrenal fatigue, but you'll see with the solutions, we're also targeting the thyroid, and we're helping the brain, and we're helping the sexual organs, because you can't think only of the adrenals. But the entire endocrine system is a hormone producer. The entire endocrine system produces hormones, and the endocrine system hormones cluster around the blood vessels, and then they release the hormones directly into the blood. So it's really important to realize that the blood needs to be clean for the hormones to move freely around the body. So we're going to talk about that as well, and then we'll give the solution for that. And then we're really going to be focused on cortisol, but there are other hormones released from the adrenals, and I'm just going to talk about what they do. Okay, so adrenaline is released for short-term stress. Like, right? Did anyone get scared? I was hoping so. For that moment, adrenaline came in, and then it is helpful for attention, focus, panic, excitement, and it's also very important for metabolism. Cortisol is released, and that's like this is why we're talking about cortisol and why cortisol is so important, because cortisol is this long-term stress. But cortisol in the body is really important for inflammation, bone health, attention, memory, reproductive function. It's crucial for the stress response, and it plays a role in fetal development. And I think that's important to know. Like, you're not going to, if you have an imbalance of cortisol, no wonder you're going to have problems with fertility, right? Because the body either needs it or doesn't need it at certain times of your life. And really important when we're talking about the solution is that cortisol steals minerals from the bones. So when we have a look back up here, and we talk about body aches and muscle pain, because it's stealing and robbing your nutrients from your body. When you have too much cortisol continually going on, I'm going to leave that there for a minute while I talk about the rest here. But cortisol is not all bad. Cortisol is for motivation, or you just use Young Living essential oil called motivation. No, you need cortisol for that. And it's also for stimulation. So you need cortisol, but you don't want it all of the time. We need to be relaxed as well, and we need this balance between the hormones in the adrenals that release or trigger endorphins to be released, and a balance between the cortisol and the adrenaline. Because if we're having constant cortisol, this is where the problem lies. There's a few other hormones, and one is really important because it regulates blood pressure and regulates the minerals in the blood in order to go into the bones. And so it's really important to, again, recognize that these all are meant to be in balance. Like the body is meant to be in homeostasis, and when we're not, this is when the problems occur. So I want to show you video, it doesn't matter that you have the sound on. But everything needs the right ingredients to trigger a cascade of messenger signals so that everything works correctly. And can you see my video there? Yeah. And so what I liken this to is this series.
We missed that. The sound has gone terrible.
Sorry.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear me at all?
Try again. There's no sound on the video, which I know you said doesn't matter.
You don't want to hear this. Can you hear me?
Now I can, but it really cut out there before.
It must have cut out when I played the video. That's really weird. Okay. The whole point was that you get the idea. I put that on there to get the idea that if one little link in that chain was broken, the ball wouldn't move through. So if a mineral is deficient, or if the hormones aren't signaling properly, then there is an issue in the body. So if we think about that when I'm talking, it will be helpful. Okay, so what is going on in the body in order to have adrenal fatigue in the first place? And it's stress, right? So I'll read out what stress is defined as. Anything that affects our body, that requires our body to compensate. So stress can be a change in temperature. That's a stress on the body. Emotional, when people worry or have anxiety. And it could also be a positive stress, like keeping a surprise for a surprise party, like knowing that something in the back of your mind that you can't share. Or even a secret, like there's a stress going on, right? There's also stress that's imaginary. And you can see this more than ever before when people are gaming now, and they're actually, you can see them physically in their body stressing up, but there's nothing actually happening, but in their mind, all of the stress is happening. So that is really important to consider now why children are having all these stress responses, because they're playing these games and it's an imaginary stress, but the body doesn't know any different, and we have this what's called a physiochemical reaction. So what is going on? Well, you probably all heard that we've got more than one part of the nervous system, and I won't go into big fancy words because I want you to pay attention. But there's a rest and digest system, and there's a fight and flight system, and they can't work simultaneously. You can either fight and flight, or you can rest and digest. And the fight and flight response, does anyone want to have a guess at what is the hormone releasing when you have fight and flight? Surprise, surprise. Cortisol. So cortisol is this big problem, because if we're under fight and flight all of the time, we're going to have always cortisol being produced. What does that mean for us? Well, when you go and listen to some presenters, they always say, oh, the fight and flight is always about when you're running away from the tiger. And I just find that so irrelevant. Who is running away from a tiger these days? I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. What we want to be thinking, if we can use that analogy, well, what would happen when you are running away from a tiger is the blood would restrict and go directly only to the muscles and the heart, and there's no way the body in that moment would want the blood to be anywhere near the digestive system or the reproductive system. The body doesn't care at that point about those things. They care that your heart and your blood, the heart and the muscles are working to get away. But in a modern sense, I came up with for you guys to understand this better, is when you're in a car accident, or when you're in a near miss accident, or when you have any kind of accident, that you know that feeling. Your heart starts to pump, you start to sweat, your muscles fill up with blood, and nothing happens to the digestive system. In fact, it's possible you've possibly had this happen to you, hopefully not, but I've seen it in accidents where if someone's had an accident, they actually have an accident. They actually go to the toilet because their body doesn't care about the digestive system at that time, and you just will release whatever is happening there. So hopefully that is making sense. There's two completely different systems that are regulated by the nervous system, but then also very much interconnected with the hormones. Now, what does that mean for adrenal fatigue? It means that what does this look like with adrenal fatigue is that it's this everyday trigger. It's the noise, it's all the kids' noise, it's the TV on, it's the scrolling through and seeing things, it's getting a message from someone, it's having an argument. That's a massive big trigger. Having an argument with someone, you go into the same responses running away from the tiger. It's the stress of getting finances sorted. It's the stresses like last week. I just had every single bill imaginable come in, and my husband and I were like thousands of dollars, like rego and rates and right? That is this constant stress that if you don't manage it will lead to more cortisol being produced and not enough fight and flight, rest and digest hormones. And there is another hormone, DHEA. It's a precursor to cortisol. I just wanted to mention it for anyone who wants to look into that or comes and sees me. We'll talk about that because it's important as well. Interestingly, just let's go back to the blood. Is that realize that the blood contains oxygen, vitamins, minerals, and the hormones, but also chi, like life force energy. So it's important to understand how precious blood is and how precious clean functioning blood is when we get to solutions.
And I love what you said last time. I do want to reference that, Mary Kate. I was so inspired. I made a graphic about it, that blood is the river system of the body. I think you said something like that, because that made so much sense to me when you said that. Because it literally delivers to the cells.
That's right. Teaching at TAFE and other colleges, like I want to come up with the best way of, I'm dealing with 16 to 30-year-olds usually, and I want to come up with the best way that they can understand it. And if you visually can see that in the body, then I always then think back to Venice and like imagine all the gondolas are in one little spot, like if nothing could get through. So like it's the same if there's this sticky blood from you eating a lot of starchy food and the cells are sticky, there's not going to be this movement of hormones and vitamins, minerals that are so important. I mean, if we can understand that when we breathe in, we have to have a residual volume of blood, residual volume of air here always, because there's always going to be an exchange of oxygen into the capillaries in the air, what's called the alveoli, in the lungs, right? So you always have to have air in your lungs, but if you're not breathing correctly, you're always going to have this stale air and it's not going to function as well. And then that leads down through this river system of
so I see Ningxia here. So can you
we're gonna get there.
Okay. Wasn't sure why that was there.
Yeah, so because we're going to get to Ningxia, because Ningxia Red is so important for this. And yes, we're going to talk about Young Living products. I'm going to give you a whole heap of free solutions, but I can't go past I can't talk about adrenal fatigue and not talk about Ningxia Red. Reiterating, important to understand before reading on, all the endocrine system is linked. And just lastly, I want to mention is that when we're looking at adrenal fatigue and what's happening in our physiology, surprise, surprise, men and women are different. Surprise, surprise. Men are very directional, one direction. They do one task, finish it, do one task, well, maybe not finish it, but we won't tell our husbands that. and they just go on and on, one task, one task. Whereas women, we can be on the phone doing something in the kitchen with the kids. Blah, 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 blah. We are so multitask person. And that's important to recognize that that's not always a good thing. Because a lot of women try and cope with that multitasking, and then they never give themselves that moment of rest and digest time and that calming time. And they think that they can handle it, but really underlying is cortisol being released to try and compensate for all of this problem.
And this is, I believe, why I'll share with people. I have a biofeedback machine called a Zytoscan. I reckon about 8 out of 10 women that I scan are showing signs of chronic stress, long-term stress.
Yeah.
And a lot of them just smile when I say that and they go, yeah. But
exactly. So
they've been living with it for so long.
I'm to a point where you can keep talking, Meredith, because we're at case study time. You're the case study.
Okay, well, I will share because as I said before, I have had adrenal fatigue, and I just want to share with I don't know again how many people here have experienced this, but I was living tired for years, and I think it was even before I had children. I've got 2 teenagers now. But it didn't all come to a head until I tried to go back part-time teaching. I'm a qualified high school teacher in 2015. And for those of you that know me, you know that Young Living came into my life at a time that I was chronically unwell, and I desperately, desperately needed it. But I didn't realize, of course, the scope of what I was sitting on with Young Living. But it wasn't until 2015 when I went back part-time that it really hit me how unwell I was. I was in a state of, I think, I'm the eternal optimist, and I just thought it's okay. I'll be able to do my 2 days of teaching over 3 days in the week, which meant I would teach a half a day on Monday, a full day on Tuesday, and a half day Wednesday. And what I would end up doing, everybody, was teaching a half day Monday till 12 p.m. I was so tired that I could not stand in front of the class. Can you imagine this with teenagers, with a class of 13-year-olds? I would have to sit at my desk and get them to come out and see me with their work. I just structure my lessons that way. I would then sleep in the back of my van for about an hour. So about 12:30 to 1:30, I would sleep in the back of, we had a multivan at that point, and then I would drive to pick up my daughter from kindy and my son from prep, and then I would come home and I would hit the bed again and wake up at like 6 p.m. My husband would cook dinner, and then I would be wired. I would not be able to get back to sleep until probably midnight, and then I would wake up the next day literally not able to move my legs. It would take me 10 to 15 minutes and I would wake up with aches and pains. I would struggle to roll over. I can't drink coffee. I can't handle any caffeine. My liver, Mary Kate, I found out later that year, was at 30% function. And I found out later that year that I was on the verge of cancer. So I knew that I was tired. It felt like I was walking through waist deep high mud all the time. That's how it felt to every single step that I had to take. It took that much energy, if you can imagine that. But I didn't find out that I was adrenally fatigued for months. I just lived with that, and I was told, oh, it's normal. I was told all kinds of things from practitioners. Yeah. And so I think a lot of us, and I'm talking from a woman's perspective, I just told myself that this is just life. This is just me trying to juggle kids and part-time work and everything else. And so when I really, found out about this and how serious the case, it was for me, and I had to quit teaching at that point. I couldn't teach. Proud to say that I'm now back relief teaching this year, and I have to say, I almost posted about it on Facebook today. Life is so much better with a calm nervous system. I didn't even think that you were going to be mentioning the nervous system tonight. But my son has also, he's very similar to me in his, I guess, biochemical makeup. And I picked up that his adrenals needed support early this year when he was craving salt. And you're all going to get an email from me tomorrow with the recording to this. But I want to just point out this fantastic book, and you're going to get a PDF based on this fantastic book. I don't know if you can see this. I better just show. Can you see that? Okay, I can't see myself. Yeah, Ultimate Balance, which some of you may have seen. This is now out of print. You can't really, I think you can buy it on Amazon. But being a raindrop practitioner myself, for any of you that don't know that, it's a form of massage therapy that uses reflexology with essential oils. I have learned more and more about energetic healing, and I'm fascinated by meridians, etc. And literally, I looked up adrenal glands, and I've been learning about how to support myself and Angus with oils. And there is a meridian line. Now, maybe I don't know if you can talk a bit more on
Talk
this,
about it a
okay?
bit
Because
more. I got a
I'm
video.
not under. Yeah, great. So there's basically it's an energy, like you talk about chi, right? The energy of the body. And what I was noticing was, and there are certain times, and you'll get an organ times chart. This is Chinese medicine, where at certain times of the day or night, you might find that you have certain symptoms come up. Well, at 9 o'clock at night, almost like a clock, like he would have to go to the toilet and he would just start sneezing. And I'm like, what is going on? And I did not work it out until he said to me one day, Mum, it's just like a clock. And he said, it just switches off as fast as it turns on. And I'm like, oh my God. So I knew then I had to go to this book and look it up, and it was adrenals. And so I used Surrender because it actually lists the oils. You'll get all this information in the web, in the email. And it listed Surrender. He loves the oil Surrender. This is a special blend by Young Living. There's a number of oils listed, but he loves this oil. And so I actually did what this book suggested and just put a drop in my hand and literally ran up. It talks about the meridian 4 times at 9 o'clock at the beginning of this time for his adrenals. And the first night I did it, the next morning I said, how'd you sleep? He said, so much better. And so he kept on asking for it. Each night he said, can you do that thing with my arm again, Mum? Can you do that thing with my arm? And now we're diffusing it for him at night, and he's sleeping so much better just from an oil, which is incredible. And we've got him on Ningxia, obviously, and Mineral Essence. I don't know if you're going to be chatting about Mineral Essence at all. But that's just a really simple way of, practically what we've done, because I'm so glad Mary Kate mentioned children, because there is so much more coming at them now. And our kids aren't on social media. I don't know if any of you have kids on social media, but I think that is also something to be aware of as well, because their lives are so different to ours. So that's the case study. And it wasn't for me. I had a lot of hormonal issues with the migraines going on. But and I worked with a naturopath. I didn't know Mary Kate at that point. But the naturopath that really, really helped me said to me that nothing else had really worked because my adrenals hadn't been supported. And if you don't support the adrenals, it doesn't matter how much you're doing for your thyroid or your other glands. You have to, again, as Mary Kate said, you have to look at it from a holistic perspective. And that's why you have to look at adrenals. I think almost, I don't know about you, Mary Kate, but I think it's almost like the underpinning of everything in terms of hormonal health for me anyway, from my perspective. But again, I'm not a practitioner like Mary Kate is. So that's enough from me.
Yeah, thank you. I'll explain that because okay, so just in summary of physiology is that the pituitary gland has the most, it's like the master gland, and it will send a signal. And just like that video showed, a signal will be sent, and it can be sent to the thyroid, it can be sent to the adrenals, but every one of them is this cascade of signaling and messaging. And guess what? We need minerals, for ionic minerals as a charge to be a messenger for certain things to be triggered, for hormones to be released. So, of course, like Meredith just said, if you're going to have issues with the thyroid, it's actually an issue with your adrenals. And then if you're going to have issues with your fertility, you're going to step back up and have to go, okay, have a look at your adrenals, have a look at your thyroid. And then we get to this, which is the little bit of information that I won't talk too much about because we'll have about 20 minutes to talk about solutions, is that I want to talk about, we need to be realistic of the external environments, not, so we have all those internal environments that I just talked about, the thoughts and the physical stress or the thoughts, but a lot of our stress is coming from our thoughts and our reality, which not necessarily is true. Like something happened earlier today between with this call, and Meredith was having an actual reaction, and in my reality I wasn't having the same reaction. So her response and her physiology was changing, and I wasn't, because I didn't let it, it was a totally different thought pattern in my head. And this is happening all of the time. And I know it's easier said than done, because when we're in that moment and something's stressing, like something that triggers us from our husband or something, and we get upset, that is us. That is our reality at that time. But we need to be able to recognize that it is what it is, what it is. The other thing that's really important is there's all these other environmental toxins putting a load on our adrenals. And I can't talk about adrenal fatigue without talking about xenoestrogens. They're huge, and they're one of the reasons I'm so passionate about Young Living, because they get rid of all these xenoestrogens. We have been duped into thinking that it's okay to go to the supermarket and get our personal care products, or even the healthcare shop. And I was online last night, and there's an advertisement for a natural essential oil company, and I was like, what a load of nonsense. Marketing is rampant in telling us things that are untrue. And I have a free PDF, all of the ingredients in personal care that you want to get rid of if you truly want to heal. The other important aspect to this, and no one's going to want to hear it, but when I said it at the beginning, I need a coffee. If that is your response, then you have adrenal fatigue, and you actually have to consider that coffee is part of the problem. And there's more evidence coming out about what the coffee is actually doing to our pineal and pituitary gland, and remember, that's the master gland. And so if we're wanting to feed our body, if we want to put on our skin, feed our body, feed our brain visually, all those things, if we want to do, we have free will to do whatever we want. But if we want to heal from adrenal fatigue and have energy and stop being stressed, we need to consider these things. So I've summarized them here, but on my actual blog, it's all in full detail. And so it's like this can hopefully.
We can see it, but I can't hear you. Don't talk, we'll just watch.
That is us. I don't know how I got this now. Hopefully I can do that. Oh, yeah. That is us if we are battling adrenal fatigue and still using personal care products with xenoestrogens. That is us if we're still drinking 5 coffees or 3 coffees a day. That's us if we're still constantly not having downtime. Like, we can't think that we can have a solution if our environment's incorrect.
I love that.
I love it too. I just find it hilarious because that's us, and we need to be realistic about this. So what's the solution? The solution is we need something that's anti-inflammatory. We need something that's going to support the thyroid, because that's a direct link to the adrenals. We need things to support the sexual hormones, supportive nutrients, and we need to give the body the nutrients for messaging signaling, right? That's it. Just do that. So the cool thing is, it's so easy. If you've got a Young Living account, this is so easy. Before I get on to Young Living, and because of time, I do want to say that really for free, absolutely for free, to support the adrenals, we want to be thinking of fat, because what happened, good fats, if I scroll back up to this one, we want to be thinking coconut oil, avocado, organ meats, if you're a meat eater, because what happens is there's that interconnectedness between the adrenals, right? And then when the adrenals, remember that the cortisol is going to be like, heart, muscle, don't worry about digestion. So you're going to have this interruption with digestion. You're going to crave the carbohydrates. The carbohydrates are going to give you glucose. If you're going to continually have that, there's this relationship with cortisol and glucose. And then the liver's going to be loaded up with glucose, and then the liver's just going to burst at the seams and go, hey, just throw all that glucose out into the bloodstream. And the bloodstream, what happens if you've got high glucose in the blood? That's diabetes. And then there's osteoporosis develops, long-term autoimmune disease develops. So long-term cortisol release from that fight and flight response is going to be overweight, fluctuations in weight, autoimmune, and increased susceptibility to infection and allergies. Like your allergies will go up. There's a whole link to histamine and cortisol. You can see how intricate this is and why I could probably talk about it for 3 hours instead of 1.
So I just want to share, everybody, we do a berry, a smoothie in the morning, and we throw cacao in. I throw raw cacao in there, cacao nibs, or you can use cacao powder, like bananas and berries. And I've forgotten about the coconut oil. I will definitely be putting a dollop of coconut oil in there.
We need to be getting good fats into us all of the time. There's so much. I could just spend half an hour on talking about that for adrenals, but I'm just going to list them. We want sour foods. When we're craving sugar, we're depleted in minerals. So when we want sauerkraut because it's high in vitamin C, we want berries. And why do we want all these things? I'll go there now. So the solutions I've come up, I came up with, Gary Young came up with, is you can do all those things, but we want to build repair. And this might only be like a 3 to 6 month thing because you're in so much adrenal fatigue, but you need to be considering these things. I have my own conditions that I deal with, and the Master Formula and Endoflex has totally changed my life. Ningxia has totally changed my husband and my life. By the way, just on a side note, my husband sold, he had a very expensive coffee machine, thousands of dollars. We sold it on the weekend because he doesn't want coffee anymore. And this is a man who was having so much coffee, and he's on the Ningxia, and he's like, after a year of consistently being on the Ningxia, he sold his coffee machine. Coffee is crazy bad. I mean, even the chemical processing of coffee beans, you'll have this residual coffee in you.
Just run us through each one of these very quickly.
People love coffee, so I'm not going to be too harpy on it. Okay. I really want to ask you, and any guesses as to the most important vitamin for the adrenals? Please.
Oh, it looks like
vitamin C. Vitamin C is absolutely necessary for the adrenals. Now, if you can think of adrenal fatigue is what? Fatigue and if you're lacking vitamin C, what's another problem that can develop is scurvy, right? The same symptoms. So when we don't have vitamin C, which is a crucial vitamin, and it's a water-soluble vitamin, so it has to be replaced every 12 to 24 hours, we will get fatigue. There's a huge amount of vitamin C information about histamines and allergies as well. But interesting, I put this here because injections for vitamins are becoming really popular. And a friend of mine had a vitamin C injection. I said, can you tell me how much it was? And it was $50 for a one-off injection. And I don't understand I don't understand why a doctor or anyone would say to do this when they know, well, I know why they would say to do this, because they're going to get a lot of money. That vitamin C will only last in the body for 12 hours. You have to consistently give yourself any water-soluble vitamin, right? So you could have Ningxia, which is 2.5 weeks worth for $50. And we know that adrenal fatigue, vitamin C is necessary for adrenal fatigue. And if you look over here, just in the wolfberry, you probably can't see that very well, but just in the wolfberry, there's many things in Ningxia, but the wolfberry, the goji berry is the main ingredient, right? And just in the wolfberry alone, you get 300% of your vitamin C. If you're having that every day, no wonder people feel like they're energized on Niksha. Plus, if you have a look at the studies on the live blood analysis, you'll understand that Niksha cleans the blood. And what have I said all night is that we need blood to be clean. And also, did you know?
Sleep.
Yeah, you need
talk about the sleep.
to sleep, right? You need energy to sleep. You can't, this is why people get insomnia, because they just don't have enough energy. So they lie awake, but their body doesn't have energy to sleep. You've got to wrap your head around that. You need energy to sleep. And then, so there's a heap of studies. Niksha Red, I really wish people understood just how intricately amazing Niksha Red is for every organ of the body. And when you tally up the price of about less than $4 a day and you're spending $6.50 on a caramel latte, it's like, this is a no-brainer if you really want to improve your health. And you know, it's not going to benefit me that much if as a Young Living member. Like, I'm just telling you, go and get.
I love here, Mary Kate, that you mentioned that it might be the difference. That difference in time, falling asleep, can be the difference into getting into deep REM, sleep repair,
100%.
which is so critical.
Yeah, and then that again could take half an hour and talk about that. So have a look here. Just the goji berries alone in the Niksha is important to strengthen liver, kidneys, and lungs. The Chinese have known for centuries of the importance of goji berries, and that's some of the benefits of just the goji berries. So we talked about how adrenals are eating the berries, and it's because of this. It's all of this. Okay, so you can go back and have a look at that later. Mineral essence would be a staple, is now a staple for me, but it would be a staple if you have adrenal fatigue. And that is because if you remember, like, we need all of that signaling. So just a quick understanding of signaling in the body is when we do a bicep curl, the muscle needs calcium to rush in for another cascade of events to happen for the muscles to contract. But then magnesium needs to be there to the muscles relax. And we know that because we all take magnesium for our muscles to relax. But there's this really beautiful relationship between calcium and magnesium to fire off, to trigger another response. And so I really want everyone to understand that we need ionized colloidal minerals that are in a whole food form. I used to say this a lot. Before I found Young Living, I couldn't recommend a mineral supplement because people were taking minerals, and I was even told by a specialist myself, take vitamin B12 or take this. And I'm like, no, when you isolate that and don't have it in a food source or a liquid ionized source, your body is going to get depleted in another thing. That's why Young Living have Mega Cow. They're together because your body will decide how much of it needs. So mineral essence is 60 minerals that we need, right? And they're all ionic. If you understand that it has a charge to it, it's alive. It's not being dug up from the ground and being a byproduct from the mining industry that they throw into your cereal and pretend that it's like that. That's not minerals that we can absorb. We need the minerals to come through from the soil into the plant and then into us, right? Yeah.
In the last few days, I've been having this with my Ningxia first thing in the morning, and I swear within 5, it feels like Energizer Bunny. I feel like it's just I can't imagine life without it.
That's right. The moment you give yourself a complex ionized colloidal mineral, particularly this is why I go on about mineral essence to anyone that wants to listen to me, is because it's got royal jelly in it, and very quickly royal jelly will transform things. So it will transform a bee into a queen bee. It will help us transform minerals or precursors into something we need. So it reduces inflammation. It's essential for the B vitamins, and the B vitamins are so important behind the scene, like we all get tested for T3, but it's actually we need to be tested for T4. This is in the thyroid, but we actually need to be tested if we've got enough B vitamins, right? And then remember that we need this repair happening. We need to support the heart health because of that fight and flight response. We not only need to support the functioning of the organ, we need to support the organ. Like we need to supply nutrients to the actual heart muscle, or we need to supply nutrients to the actual kidneys and adrenals, let alone supply the nutrients for the functioning of that. Does that make sense? It's two separate things that we have to remember. And then, so mineral essence is crucial for the messaging signaling. And then you've got this master formula. And for adrenal fatigue, you need nutrients calories that are nutrient rich. We also need, like I've mentioned, we need a food source. And cleverly, two doctors created Master Formula Essentials, created specifically for people who have methylation issues. Methylation means transforming that into a usable source of fuel, messaging or fuel or hormone for the body. So a lot of people with adrenal fatigue have a hard time making this transformation, and this is specifically targeted for that, for the thyroid and then the adrenals, and vice versa, right? It's a really important aspect to it, because if you have problems with the adrenals, you'll have problems of absorbing iodine out of your food, and then that will affect your thyroid, right? There's always this feedback loop. And so I wish I had half an hour to talk about Master Formula alone, but really important. And you know what I'd say? If this hasn't sunk in yet, just go and get a box of it and try it for a month. The amazing thing about the formulas in Young Living is that you can't go wrong because they're complete. And so when the body doesn't need something, it will just pee it out, but you'll get everything out else. I really want to highlight.
And even if you don't have methylation issues, Master Formula is still going to be valuable for you. But if you 100%. Do have methylation issues, I'm going to tell you, you literally, of all things you will ever choose, I literally cannot live. I've got methylation issues, cannot live without this. Yeah. This is like if I think I've mentioned Iron Man before, like the heart of Iron Man. This is literally, I cannot speak more highly of this. I might put some information up in the Dreamcatchers forum group about this. 6 minutes to go to the hour. If you run over, it's okay.
We started a little bit late, so give me to 5 past. Okay. So Master Formula Essentials. B12 is huge and hugely important for the adrenals. I'll just say it like that. B12 is hugely important for the adrenals. You just need to get B12 in a formulation that's actually going to be absorbable. Before I just mention the last two and a couple of the last things, I haven't mentioned yet, a lot of people go, oh, great, I've received this information. I'll just go and get a complete, a B12 from Coles tonight when I go to shopping, or I'll just go to the health food shop tomorrow because this one's a bit more expensive than I was hoping to pay. And you're going to do yourself a disservice. I've looked into all of this, and you should too. I encourage you. If you go and understand the seed to seal promise, you will never not buy all your supplements from Young Living. It's a no-brainer when you understand the importance of soil, seed, processing, and integrity. And then there's no formulas elsewhere on any market, on any supermarket shelf, on any health food, anywhere on the internet that has essential oils in their formulas. And that means that majority of essential oils are antioxidants, which means they stop the oxidation of the nutrients inside it until it's released into the system. The other thing is, it's not a supplement here, but I was talking to someone about probiotic the other day, and they said that they're having a powder a powder, but if you're a powder probiotic, but if you don't have a particular specialized capsule to bypass the hydrochloric acid that's so strong in the stomach in order to get that bacteria into your intestines, then it's a waste of money. So if you're having a powder form probiotic, then it's just going to die in your stomach from the hydrochloric acid. So really go and look at how impressive the formulas are here that have these essential oils that do all of this work, because everything is synergistic, all of this work together to give you something that is so higher, superior product than anything else you'll buy.
And for the people that aren't yet Young Living members, I just want to share our story with you because my husband was very, skeptical about oils, etc. When I started out in this, which was, completely fine. But then he did take a supplement after a stint in the hospital. I got him onto something. It was called Prostate Health at the time, and he was gobsmacked by the results and it wasn't to do with the prostate, it was actually to do with his skin, and his eyes weren't bloodshot anymore, and he's like, what is going on? I need to understand. And that's when we started looking into these supplements, and what I discovered was exactly what Mary Kate just talked about, but literally that our bodies were uptaking more of the vitamins and minerals than regular supplements. No other supplements had done for us what these supplements were doing, and I had to learn about it. It took me years to learn about it because I wasn't a practitioner and etc. But I encourage anybody, even the Young Living members that don't believe me, give these a go for 3 months. Just commit, even if you just do Ningxia or Ningxia and mineral essence, like you don't have to do this all, but just give something a go and be consistent and see how you feel in 6 weeks. And you need to give this a red hot go, not just a week or two, because this will work in the body. It's so gradual sometimes. Some people feel it immediately, most people feel it gradually. And then it's like, I find most people really it kicks in between 3 and 4 months. That's my personal experience with people. Somewhere between that 3 and 4 month mark is when they message me or ring me and go, oh my God, I never have felt so good.
I will reiterate that, because there's people who go on Ningxia, they meet me at an expo and they take a bottle instead of taking the whole 2 month pack, and then they have one bottle and I never hear from them because they never actually waited to see the repair. I mean, look at that. Like when you're in adrenal fatigue and the cortisol's pumping around your body and then it's taken away from your digestive system, then you're going to have problems with the digestive system, right? So then you're going to have problems absorbing. So if you start taking Ningxia and you start to have issues with the changes in your digestion, like diarrhea or constipation, because your gut is trying to heal from years of adrenal fatigue, and you think that it's going to fix up in 2 weeks. No, it doesn't work like that. So we've got a few minutes to go. Endoflex is my baby. I have about 2 bottles open. I don't go anywhere without it. I rub it on my thyroid. I put it on all of the time. I literally actually do. I probably put it on more than I need to, because I just think it's
we're
so
not allowed
insane.
to, we're not supposed to say this in Australia, so this is for the US people, but you can actually take this one internally if you live in the US. You can say that. I have done this in a capsule with some Ningxia, and actually it was when I was traveling I found this out. I was coming back from global convention a few years ago.
My thing. You go.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap
And
it
it
up.
was fantastic. It just was like ping. So have a look at.
Yeah. We will talk about that at the end. Let me finish these two and then go for it.
Sorry.
No, it's totally. I just wanted to give these people, if they have to go. This is cool, right? Endoflex supports the iodine absorption for the thyroid to function correctly. And so it amplifies metabolism, supports hormone balance. It also boosts the liver function. Remember what I said about the liver? And then I've summarized everything here, and I've put every single oil and explained, just highlighted what the importance is for just the adrenals. Like there's other reasons why you'd use spearmint, but digestive support, emotional balance, it can help with kidney stones. And the sesame oil in it is an anti-inflammatory, it helps control blood sugar. You're getting the point. Sage, common use for diabetes and digestion. Remember the problems that occur when you've got too much cortisol. And this estrogen, progesterone, testosterone balance, which we talked about in the hormone presentation last month, but I'll talk about it again with energy next month. Geranium, great for the liver chakra, and it balances the glands, right? Nervous tension, the stress, and it lifts the spirit. And it goes on and on. The myrtle is hypothyroidism. This is why this blend is so important, and important to understand that these, see German chamomile, there's dispels anger. Anger is with the liver. Kidneys represent fear and emotion. So if we have too much fear in us, we're going to have problems with the kidneys, and that could be what's draining the adrenals. And then we've got nutmeg. Nutmeg I could talk about again for 10 minutes, but it's really, really good for nerves. So if nothing else, get Endoflex, but if you want, just grate nutmeg into a glass of hot water and dab a bit of your favorite alternative milk in there. I don't recommend milk, dairy milk, and then have that as a drink to calm the nerves. So there's heaps of information here for you to look at further. And the next one, and really important, is Stress Away. And Stress Away is for anyone suffering chronic stress. And again, it weakens the immune system when we've got chronic stress. We're susceptible for heart disease. We're susceptible for cancers to develop. So we need to protect our adrenals as much as we can with giving it the right vitamins and minerals, tincture and mineral essence, master form essentials. And then we apply these the highest frequency things. I say things because a lot of people like to take herbs, but herbs are a lower frequency than essentials. It's just a matter of fact. Like, don't be offended. Higher frequency in a living energy in a bottle. And so we look at Stress Away, and look at this. It's got the copaepa, which is highest anti-inflammatory, reduces pain, muscle aches. Remember the symptoms at the beginning? Improves kidney function, elevates the mood. Then we've got the lime, which overcomes exhaustion and depression. Remember that link with the pituitary and the pineal. And then we've got the cedarwood, which is calming and reduces the tension. We've got the vanilla that lifts the mood and relaxes the muscles and plays a big role in anxiety, provides protection against damaged cells. And then you've got ocotillo, which is amazing in itself, but supports the digestion and helps balance the endocrine system. Lavender, of course, is like the amazing oil, but one thing I'll highlight here is it can even be used with people with ADHD to regulate it. So you can see how we've summarized the best that you can get, and you just have to start taking it. And like Meredith said, you've got these helpful ideas of really nourishing the kidneys between 5 and 7, feeding it that food we talked about, the good fats, making sure you're calm, and then that has a correlation to the larger intestines. I can talk about this more in the energy talk. I've got here for you guys. I started playing that when Meredith was talking, but this one was the meridian for the. It's going to stop me from hearing you. So
we're losing you.
Yeah,
the sound.
don't know what happens, but there's the kidney channel. So the other thing I put up here for you to have a look at is the chakra systems and where the adrenals are. And if you are interested in, if you do martializations, you can help the adrenals. You can look at color therapy. And then there's also some additional things I've put here. I mean, a buffalo hump is a good indicator of adrenal fatigue, holding on to weight and your kidneys, remembering the emotions of what are linked to kidneys and liver, and just simple things that you can do. And I'd really highly encourage you to look at Idaho Blue Spruce too, because it's patented by Young Living because of just how special it is. Especially with men and adrenal fatigue and testosterone. But also just 3 things you can do is being aware at night time about blocking out the blue light. And I actually have a discount code for you if you want it for red light therapy, and having the right lights in your house to calm yourself down before you go to bed, because there's this correlation between cortisol. If the cortisol is too high, then your adrenaline's not going to trigger the release of the endorphins and melatonin, and melatonin is important for sleep. So there's all of this interconnectedness there. But we've given you the absolute sort of foundation to get started. Call to action is, and Meredith, do you want to add anything else before we wrap it up? What were you saying about America? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, I actually just wanted to say Stress Away is designed to reduce cortisol in the body. That's what it is for. So I learned that from Maria Aurora
I've got
years
that in
ago.
my other notes. I just didn't say it. Go for it.
So just don't overthink it, everybody. There's a reason why those Stress Away is in all of the starter bundles, including the basic starter bundle. And that's because a lot of people need it. And it is for those of you that don't know about that oil blend, it is a beautiful, beautiful perfume. You can use that as a scent, as well as, and I don't know how many of you know this, but we can actually take that one internally as well. That is, it's not an approved one in Australia, but you can actually, I know a lady that used to use it, make cupcakes and put it in her icing. Because it's so beautiful, tasty.
Well, if you look what's in. But only in America.
Well, the US people, Australians, you are taking, your life into your hands by doing that. Having said that, I have been a member, just so you know, since 2011. I have been using oils internally since I'd say 2014. So 10 years this year, and I'm still here to talk about it. So that's Young Living, by the way. I would not do it with any other brand. So I just want to say a big thank you to Mary Kate before we wrap this up.
Yeah, awesome. Did you have something else to say about America? Something about
I was traveling back. I was traveling back from convention. I was super tired. I was jet lagged, and I was actually with a Young Living member who is a naturopath as well. And she just offered me some Endoflex, and she said, "Here, and she had some capsules, some empty capsules. She said, "Here, take 5 drops in this with some Ningxia." I had my Ningxia sachets, and I'm like, "Yeah, sure." She said, "Absolutely." I was pinging it within 10 minutes. I was like, "Ping!" I felt so good. And so endo, meaning the endocrine system, flex as in strength, like flexing your muscles. It is designed to strengthen the endocrine system. So that's where that name comes from, in case any of you didn't know that. So yeah, just
everywhere.
just
I just put it everywhere. It's changed my life.
For those of you and if you want to know more about hormones, come to Young Living's Vitality Tour next month.
So I've got a call to action.
Okay.
Feedback forms. If you want to go in the draw to win our prize tonight, we need your feedback forms, because you will not be in the draw to win any prizes unless you get the feedback forms. So this, and someone asked in the chat, thank you for your comments in the chat. I just read them while Meredith was talking. Someone just went and they were so inspired, they went and had a shot of Ningxia. That's fantastic. So we need to get onto the Vitality Tour, like Meredith said, because it's $29 for the most amazing information. Come with us. If you're going to Brisbane, go with Meredith. If you're coming to the Sydney one, come with me. $29. It's on the 21st of March. Get in touch with me if you want to come. Gut health and hormone health. And then if you want a $59 instead of $120, $150 consultation, you're saving a huge amount of money, but it has to be booked by tomorrow night. I'm going to send you all those links, but the link that's crucial is the feedback form here. So I'm going to put this in the link. Here we go. If you want to do that right now.
Oh, fabulous. You're going to put that in the link?
Okay,
wonderful.
Chat.
In the chat? In the chat.
Yeah, and so someone asked about, can I have the Meridian link? Yes, because it's right in that presentation and everyone's got it now. So
and I'll say too about sorry.
Yeah, no, that's it. Click on the link and start filling in that feedback form so that we have a huge amount of feedback so that you can all go in the draw to win. What are we giving away?
People might look at me and think, oh, you know such a lot. I literally knew nothing when I started using oils. I was literally green as green could be. I was using the shop bought oils, not understanding why I was getting nauseous, etc. From them. And going to Young Living events literally has changed my life. I have been to every single event that I could possibly get to, literally physically. I've even flown to Melbourne for an event, because every single one I go to, I hear like I there is always a moment for everybody at these where they go, oh my gosh, that's why I'm meant to be here. That I was meant to hear that. And for different people, it's going to be a different thing. And I love hearing that. That's why I'm organising a bus trip from the Gold Coast up to Brisbane, because I love hearing people's stories on the way back about what it was for them that was their aha moment. And I can guarantee you will have it. It can be just one thing you hear, everybody, at this event that literally can change the next 6 months, a year of your life, because we have to educate ourselves. It's not, and I'm big pat on the back, by the way, for everybody here and also people watching this on replay, because so many people outsource their health to other people without taking responsibility for themselves about learning for themselves. Well, why would I actually take that, take that supplement rather than just blindly, trust? So well done for you. But yeah, please look at that, because it's going to be an amazing, amazing event. $29, you're going to get a free essential oil and you're going to meet like-minded people. I cannot recommend that highly enough, being around people that are on a similar journey to you. It makes such a huge difference.
And if you're in
And a huge
Sydney,
thank you to Mary Kate.
yeah, you're welcome. If you're in Sydney and you please come up to me on the night, if I don't know you. Hey,
Yes.
just wrapping that up too is just reiterating that if I don't think I said this, but if you're having minerals that are those fortified synthetic minerals, they're going to deposit in your joints and cause more pain. They're going to eventually cause disruptions. We need to be having, first of all, food, but that's all depleted. And so we need to be getting in this good quality. And that's why I spend my Tuesday night putting my time in for you guys and all of the hours that I put in to make this presentation, because I want everyone to feel better. I want everyone, when you feel better compared to what you felt like, because I've felt that, and these have changed my life, then you understand why Meredith and I are doing this. And because when you actually change it up and stop having this stupid, unfortunately stupid, corrupted, problem-causing supplements, you will find it, you'll feel the difference, just like Meredith said about her husband as well, and just why my husband's.
And honestly, I just want to give some hope to people. You don't know how good your life can be until you actually give this a go. Truly, I want this for everybody. So
that's right.
thank you
That's why
so
I
much.
do it. It's like imagine the world when
Yeah.
we're all better. Anyway, so it's 9:15 in New South
Thank you
Wales.
so much, everybody, for spending your
But
time with
please
us. I
fill in the
really,
feedback
really
form,
appreciate it.
because we will keep doing these if people give us feedback, if they liked it, if it was too much, if they hated it. You have to tell us.
Yes.
If there was things you didn't like, or if the things that you want us to talk about and expand on more. But put it in the diary for next month, because we're going to
And now we can hear you properly. I can hear you properly now.
I hope everyone's been able to hear me. Oh dear.
Oh, it was a bit crackly all the way, but anyway.
I don't understand that. When are we doing the next one? We're doing the next one in March.
It'll be in the email tomorrow. But let's check my diary. I've got us down for the 12th of March, Tuesday, the 12th of March.
Find it. There you go. Yep.
Okay.
12th of March.
So
8 o'clock.
all those details will be in the webinar, in the email, not webinar, email tomorrow as well. Thank you so much, everybody. So appreciate it. Please let us know what you thought.
Bye.
And thank you to Mary Kate.
You're welcome.
All right. Have a fantastic evening.
I'm going to go and have a good night's sleep.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
See ya.